Happy Families podcast. It's the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now.
My focus is on feelings, not words. Secondly, what I'm doing is I'm gently exploring those emotions.
And now here's the stars of our show, my mum and dad.
G'day, this is Dr. Justin Coulson. I'm the author of 6 books about how to make your family happier. And I'm here with Kylie, mum to our 6 daughters and love of my life, who tried so hard last night to be romantic and to make it a special night. Well, with all the children watching in the kitchen. Do you want to explain what happened, Kylie?
Well, I was driving in the car and this song came on the radio and I was like, oh, this is an awesome song. I would love to share this with you because it shares the sentiments of my heart.
Right, so we dance in the kitchen.
All the time, and you're the one who usually picks the song.
Yeah. So you like this song?
I prayed for you.
And so what's the story behind it? Let's fill everyone in. What happened?
Well, I decided to put it on.
We started dancing.
I can't believe it's true. Sometimes our 14-year-old decided, instead of listening, that she would talk over the top of it.
Every lyric. I get to love you.
No, I get to love you. You know where she got it from, though, don't you?
All I know is that she was really destroying a romantic moment.
Well, it's a takeoff of High School Musical when they had the auditions.
I love that. That is so funny. If you haven't seen High School Musical, there's this great song and they're trying to find people to sing into the musical. Somebody walks out on the stage for the auditions and does this.
It's hard to believe that I could not see that you were right beside me.
So we're trying to listen to this.
And if you know the song, it doesn't sound like this. And as she did this over the top of that beautiful song.
Trying to be romantic, trying to have a moment with me, and our 14-year-old spoiled it.
Well, I worked out how to clear out the room very quickly.
Yeah. Kiss me in front of the kids.
Lots of sound effects. Parents out there, if you need some time out, just give your spouse or your partner a great big sloppy kiss and those kids will go running.
Yeah, I love it how everyone's like, oh, the kids never leave me alone. I never get a minute to myself. You start kissing in front of them and they'll leave the room and then you'll be able to have an uninterrupted conversation. No problems at all.
So, honey, I love you.
Oh, okay. Not on the podcast. Seriously, everyone's going to be like, get a room, you two. Come on. We, every Tuesday, do our very best to answer your questions and make your family happier. And Nikki sent through an email to us with a doozy, a really tough one that any parent who has ever experienced this one, they just know how hard it is.
She said, my 5-year-old has started talking negatively about himself in the last month and I'm reaching out for tips on how we can break this cycle, please. He calls himself stupid, forgetful, always says he can't do things. He's just a dumb kid. He's naughty, an idiot, etc. None of which we say to him, and I'm struggling to identify the source. We have tried saying things like, you can't do them yet, or you will or can. Give it a go. We tell him he's worked hard or done a good job. It breaks my heart when he says such things, and we're keen to hear how we can change his thinking around this.
Yeah, heartbreaking. Whenever you see one of your children with that negative self-talk, it sort of crushes you because all you want to do is build them up. You want to pump up their tires. You want to make them feel special and amazing and wonderful because that's usually how you see them. And here they are saying how terrible they are. And it's also really clear from Nikki's email that they're very familiar with Carol Dweck's growth mindset idea. All of these ideas about, well, you can't do it yet, but if you keep at it, you'll figure it out. And come on, just give it a go. And your brain's like a muscle and all you've got to do is try and it'll get stronger. All of those things are coming out. But with a 5-year-old, they're approximately 0% effective right now for someone who's feeling lousy about himself.
Well, and the reality is it's not just our 5-year-olds who feel this way. Our teenagers go through these experiences, as do our spouses and partners, siblings. We deal with these kinds of stinking thinking thoughts in every relationship.
So funny that you called it stinking thinking because that's precisely the term that we would use in a psychology context.
I might have listened to one once or twice.
One or two of my podcasts, you reckon, one of my webinars here and there. That's precisely what we talk about. Specifically, though, what's going on here is what psychologists would call cognitive distortions. And you're very particularly prone to cognitive distortions when you've got high emotions. You know what I say, high emotions.
High emotions, low intelligence.
Low intelligence. So here you've got a child who's feeling really big emotions, and during that big emotional moment, as he thinks about himself and his inability to do whatever the thing is that he's failing at, because the emotions are so high, there's no rational thinking going on.
Well, becomes flooded.
Yeah, totally emotionally flooded. Because emotions are high and intelligence is low, he starts saying things about himself that reinforce how he's feeling. That is, he feels dumb, therefore he must be dumb. So we've got this cognitive distortion. We've got high emotions, low intelligence, and it becomes a horrible habit. Now, I want to talk more about cognitive distortions in a sec, but there's something else going on that I think might be even more important before we talk about them. When our children make mistakes, they often feel shame. Now, there's a difference between shame and guilt, and you've read Brené Brown's books, so you'll know the way she distinguishes between the two, and I think it's just such a delightfully simple distinction. When you feel shame...
You feel like you're a bad person.
Yeah, like I can't do anything right. I'm just a complete screw up. I'm a mess. I'm a failure. Whereas when you feel guilt, rather than feeling that you're a bad person...
I've done something bad.
Right. So guilt is actually really productive. I've done something bad, and if you feel guilt, you're drawn to make amends for it. But when you feel shame, that tends to be unproductive. Often they go hand in hand, by the way, but when you're feeling shame specifically, I'm a bad person. So we've got a 5-year-old who thinks he's a bad person. He's no good. He's a mess. He's a failure. And with that shame, if I'm a bad person, comes an increase in anxiety. If I'm a bad person, my parents won't love me. Because
I won't have any friends.
I won't have any. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to be a failure. I can never do anything right. And so the shame leads to an increase in anxiety, which usually leads to a child behaving in an unintelligent way. Why? Because emotions are high.
Flooded.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. So we get this horrible, vicious circle, and all of that creates cognitive distortions, which...
And the more it happens, the more of a habit you create and the more the distortion grows and continues, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It just reinforces itself with every action, with every new opportunity to make a mess. And by the way, do 5-year-olds get things wrong very often?
All the time.
Like all day, every day.
Because they're still in the learning phase.
Yeah,
right?
they've got their L plates on, exactly. So I think we probably need to spend just a minute reviewing a couple of cognitive distortions that are really common, including the ones that this 5-year-old's experiencing. And then we'll talk about our common responses and why they're wrong.
So Nikki has every right to be worried about her 5-year-old right now.
Yes and no.
Not. I'm not suggesting that what she's dealing with is serious, but the acknowledgement that if this behaviour were to continue and it became a perpetual habit,
it could be serious.
It could become serious.
Yeah. I mean, what's really going on here with a 5-year-old who's doing this? It's pretty developmentally normal. It's not unusual at all. And that's because of all the things that we've talked about. Cognitive distortions, like when Nikki steps in with this wonderful growth mindset language, what he does is he starts to discount the positive. He starts to say, well, you're only being nice to me because you're my mum. Or good things, all or nothing thinking, good things never happen. It's always bad things that happen to me.
Nobody loves me.
Yeah.
Everybody hates me.
I know where you're going with this.
I think I'll go and eat worms.
I knew you were going to go. I knew you would do that. So these are cognitive distortions, discounting the positive, all or nothing thinking. Like you should never say always or never because you're always wrong and you're never right. No, other way around. Oh, it doesn't. You know what I mean, though. And what also happens, though, another cognitive distortion is catastrophizing. And you'll see this with 5-year-olds. You'll see this with 15-year-olds as well. This idea that I can never do anything right. And because I can never do anything right, the future is going to be terrible. Nobody's ever going to be my friend. And it's going to be the worst thing ever. And then they get caught up in mind reading. Mind reading is where they start to sort of say, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to go to the party and everyone's going to ignore me. And these are all of these cognitive distortions. So let me ask you, Kylie, common responses to this kind of stinking thinking from our kids.
We usually tell them to stop talking about themselves like that. We don't talk like that in our house. Dismiss it. Don't be silly.
So those are two of the most common responses, sometimes well-intentioned, sometimes not. But the first idea, oh, come on, you'll be okay. It's not that bad. Everything's going to be fine. Stop stressing about it. Even with the best of intentions, that is dismissal, right? We're kind of...
Don't talk about yourself like that.
Yeah, that's when we move into disapproval. Cut it out. Don't say things like that. Stop being so silly.
It's not all about you.
Oh, that's harsh. But sometimes we hear parents say that. So these are ineffective responses. I think we need to talk about why in just a sec, and also focus on what we can do to make things better.
It's the Happy Families Podcast.
Imagine a home where discipline got results without anyone having to feel bad or in trouble. The Do's and Don'ts of Discipline is a webinar to help parents set limits with love, compassion and humanity. Find it now at happyfamilies.com.au/shop.
It's the Happy Families Podcast, the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now. And today we are delving into a really tricky conversation around Nikki and her 5-year-old, all of his stinking thinking thoughts.
Yeah, these cognitive distortions that can become so intrusive and so dysfunctional for our children. Let's role play for a second, Kylie. Let's imagine that you're having a really rough day. And
Well, that's never happened.
and I'm going to be dismissing. I'm going to be kindly, gently dismissing. I'm actually going to have the very best of intentions to make things better. Let's just see how that feels. Let's hear it from you. What's going wrong?
I'm such a bad mum. It doesn't matter what I do. It just the kids are just never happy. I can't make them happy. I made their lunches today and they've come home complaining because they're hungry because what I put in their lunchbox didn't matter.
Honey, don't be so silly. You're a great mum. You do a great job. You try so hard.
Are you kidding me?
Everything's going to be fine.
Honestly, there's no gratitude for anything that I do.
So when I say to you, everything's going to be fine, you're doing a great job, how does that make you feel? Do you feel like...
You don't understand what's going on.
Okay, all right. We're only role-playing, okay?
Sorry.
All right. Just want to make sure you know we're only role-playing. Okay, let's go with a different kind of dismissal. Again, a very common response. You're getting really upset and I say, don't be so silly. You know that's not true. You're just being ridiculous.
Are you kidding?
We are role-playing. The face right now makes me a little bit nervous. But again, imagine...
Hey, I could have got a Grammy.
Imagine that we... I think a Grammy's for music.
Oh, okay.
It's the Oscar.
Yeah,
that's right.
Shows how much TV I watch.
So when we're talking about what's going on here, we can do our very best to convince them that they're wrong by dismissing their emotions, by saying, oh, kiddo, you're not dumb, you're not silly, you're not a failure.
What would you know?
That's it. They don't believe you for a second because...
You're only saying that because you're my mum.
I remember when I was catching a bus to the beach one time, I wasn't wagging, I promise. It was a Saturday morning and I was off to the beach for a surf with my friends, jumped on the bus, paid the bus driver the fare. As I walked to the back of the bus, I was counting my change and realised he'd given me too much. So I went back to him as he pulled out of the bus stop and said, you gave me too much change, gave him the 20 cents extra that he'd given me. He looked at me and said, well, that's really honest of you. You must be a really honest kid. As soon as he said it, I was like, oh, you don't know the half of it. I've just done so many dishonest things in my teenage years. It's unbelievable. What happens is we discount the positive. And that's what our children are doing in this case when we try to say, don't be so silly. You're great. You're amazing. They take it as dismissal and they ignore the fact that we're saying it because what they believe is far stronger than what we believe.
Totally.
Okay, let's do the second one. Let me do what some parents unfortunately do when their kids say that they're dumb or stupid or not doing very well.
I'm such a stupid mum. I can't do this.
You're being hysterical.
Hysterical? You don't even know the half of it. You want to call me hysterical? I'll show you what hysterical is.
I'm using that word because Steve Price used it to another panelist on the project one night, and it really set things off. She got really mad. So when we turn against them, when we become disapproving, it doesn't make things any better either. There is a better way, and the better way goes like this.
I'm such an idiot. It doesn't matter what I do. I just can't get this stuff right.
You know, even
I
when
forgot to pick the kids up today and I left.
Kylie, you're having a terrible day. Hearing you speak like that, it hurts my heart, and I know that it hurts yours too. It's been a really, really rough morning for you, hasn't it?
You don't know the half of it.
Would you like to spend some time telling me about it?
Not really.
You feel that bad?
Yeah.
You feel like you'd just rather be left alone?
No.
You'd like me to be with you, but you feel horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as I've shared that response with you, how does that make you feel?
That you understand.
Okay. You can step out of the role play now. It's okay. You take this very seriously, don't you, this podcast?
Yes.
Yes, you do. And the role play especially. So what I've really done here is I've validated. I haven't said that you're right or wrong. I've just told you what I can see. You're having a rough morning. you're really, really struggling.
So would it be a good time to maybe ask me when there's been times that I've been successful? Would that be helpful?
Not in the moment, because remember, high emotions, low intelligence. Right now, I'm interested in just working with your emotions and helping you to level out and become balanced so that your intelligence comes back. That's what we're really trying to do here. So the tips for any parent who's listened to that and gone, hang on, what happened there? I want you to press the rewind button because I think that I got it pretty well right. There's a specific way that I've done what I've done. And it's this. Number one, I focused not on Kylie's words, although they did form part of my response, but I focused on how she felt. My focus is on feelings, not words. Secondly, what I'm doing is I'm gently exploring those emotions by saying, it's not going well. You've had a really tough time. Would you like to talk about it? Would you like me to give you some space, or would you like me to...
Well, you would have got more brownie points if you had have asked for a cuddle.
Well, we got there in the end. Would you like me to stay close to you? Would you need a... But I don't want to get too close too soon, because if you're too angry and ask if you want to cuddle right then, who knows what might happen.
Are you talking from experience?
I'm just sharing some general ideas from science. General ideas from science. And then what I'm really working towards is empowering you to tell me what the best way forward will be. We're looking at problem-focused coping, not emotion-focused coping. But that's only going to happen once we've got the emotions level and stable. And we do that how? By focusing on the emotions. You're having a really tough time. It's been a horrible morning. You don't want to be near anyone right now. You're feeling like nobody's listening to you and everyone's ungrateful. And just describing, validating.
And that's when you book me in for a weekend away by myself.
Right, maybe. But remember, this is not about you. This is about a 5-year-old, Nikki's 5-year-old, to be specific. I feel like we've suddenly turned this into a couples therapy session. So, Nikki, I hope that that's helpful. Once again,
focus on the emotions.
If you've got a 5-year-old who's saying they hate themselves and they're no good,
we're going to focus on emotions.
That's the first step. And then we're going to
explore.
Gently, slowly, by saying what you're seeing and asking if you're right. And lastly,
we're going to find ways to empower.
Yeah,
them.
Gently say, so what do you think we can do here? Would you like a hug? Would you like some space? What's the best way for us to move forward?
Well, I feel like I've just had a therapy session.
I feel like I've just been through one. We really hope that you've enjoyed the podcast. Nikki, we hope that that's helpful. And for any other parent who's going through these kinds of things.
We might not do a role play again.
No, I don't think we will. I think that was pretty rough going. Actually, I need to go and have my own therapy session to recover. We, like I said, hope that you got something out of this and that it will help you with the challenges that you face with your children. As always, we thank Justin Rulon from Bridge Media and Craig Bruce, our executive producer, for putting the podcast together and doing such a wonderful job with it. If you enjoy the podcast, please leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. It's those ratings and reviews that help other people to find out about the podcast and make their family happier. And if you'd like more info about making your family happier, check out our Happy Families memberships, because a happy family doesn't just happen. You can find all the information at happyfamilies.com.au.